That's right, Ole fans. It has been 55 long days since our last home game with this stretched schedule we're dealing with this season. But 3 wins later and 22 goals, and we go into this weekend's game against Michigan Futsal Factory looking to protect our undefeated streak against a team that fancies the likes of international goalkeeper for the United States of America, Robert Dameron, and commissioner/coach/player Drew Ducker, as they come in looking for their first points of the season and looking to get on the board and catch up in that Midwest table. With that in mind, let's take a look at what we have going on in the standings before we hit this game. Let's start in our own table in the Midwest. Looking at the top of the table is a familiar logo of ours. That's right, it's Grand Rapids OLE. Like I said before, undefeated, 9 points to our name, a +9 goal differential heading into this weekend. And then we take a look down the table, and Detroit Imperial, newcomers to the league this year, also doing double duty in a competing league in Lansing called FCS, and they are looking extremely strong. Their only blemish is against us in that opening match that was played at home for us. And now we take a look even further and find tonight's competition, Michigan Futsal Factory. Still looking for points, -8 goal differential. This season has just not gone their way to get things started, facing off against the 2 best teams in this division, which is ourselves and Imperial. And then Cadence looking for their first points as well. They are at a -10 goal differential. Hopefully they find a way to collect some points. It might help if they get away from the boxing matches and wrestling matches and start playing some futsal. But until then, we'll see what they can do. Heading over to the Southwest Division, we see Gloom, Santa Fe Gloom, the newcomers to the league. They have got 6 points to their name. They've been very busy since their opening game with the most games played in the Southwest Division. They're actually at a -3 goal differential after a tough loss this last week against Colorado Futsal Academy, who we find tied with defending champions of the Southwest Division, Brusa FC, each at 3 points. And an unusual bottom of the table, in my opinion, with Flagship, who was just a high flyer last year. Expect them to make some big changes and get back on track as they look for their first points as they continue on in their season as well. A -3 goal differential, just like Gloom. And they will have some very interesting games moving forward in that Southwest Division. So don't forget to stay tuned to the NFPL to see what's going on the opposite side of the country and what our potential playoff competition may be once that structure is announced. So what's on the menu for tonight? Well, let's talk about the matches tonight. First act of the day is ourselves, Grand Rapids, taking on Michigan Futsal Factory for the second time this season. They will be looking to get their first points as they travel to OLE in Grand Rapids to Wyoming High School. It's an unfamiliar home territory for us, as we're usually in home school building, but it's still a home game. Same great fans. And I'll tell you what, watching the away match when we beat them at home, I gotta say, our fans were fantastic. If you closed your eyes and didn't look at the stadium or arena, then you would think that it was a home game. Our fans came out in droves, and we got to hand it to you guys. Amazing, amazing support for our very own Grand Rapids OLE on the road. You guys should be proud of yourselves and your turnout. You made it your own fortress, and I absolutely love that. So let's see what we do at home in full force with our fans at 6 p.m. Eastern tonight. Then next, we see a team that's done just as much wrestling and boxing as they have futsal. That's Cadence. They're looking to capture their first points as they host Detroit Imperial. That game immediately following ours at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 7 Central. Stay tuned for that and see if they are able to topple who's turned out to be very formidable Detroit Imperial as they look to continue to chase OLE in the standings. They can't afford to have a hiccup along the way until they face us on head-to-head and catch up there. Now, with that in mind, let's talk about a quick review of what happened between then and now, and see if I remember how to do this pregame show since it's been so long, and talk about a couple of the highlights and look at a goal montage that I will share with you guys of all the goals that were captured on camera along the way to tonight's match. guys, before I show you my goal montage from the last 3 games, again, 22 goals, too much to enjoy. You'll see some of them are better captured than others. Listen, not every team has a Juan Galindo serving them up like we do, so we don't exactly get all the great footage like we do at home, but we're going to enjoy it the best we can anyway. And speaking of Juan Galindo, if you want to hear about his story as GM of Grand Rapids OLE and his experience with the team, make sure you follow along on my YouTube channel, as we just recently did a live stream interview with Juan. And if you guys want to follow along with interviews like that and ask your own questions and drive the interview, feel free to join me there on a monthly basis as we interview folks from the futsal world. And we couldn't help but get Juan on the mic and get his story on his experience with one of the greatest clubs in NFPL history. But back to the action at hand. That home match, that home opener, was so fantastic against a very tough Detroit Imperial. We walked away with a comfortable 6-2 win, but it's important to know that Detroit Imperial was playing a few men down, as a few of their players were participating in the AMF World Championships, which is a slightly different practice of futsal. Some would argue the original futsal, as they were down in Mexico. So there are some star-studded players on that team, and our replay with them is sure to be an absolute intense game that'll keep us on the edge of our seats. I can't wait to see it. And there is no doubt in my mind that that is why they are in the position they are in the standings. But the more important highlight for me is the fact that this crowd was absolutely on fire. You guys showed up in filled homeschool building and made it very loud and turned it into a fortress as always. Again, congratulations to you guys on showing out and being proud. I am so proud to wear this emblem and do this pregame show with you guys. The organization itself is top class, and our fans are just the same. We couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you. Speaking of fans and how great you guys are, the away match against Michigan Futsal Factory sounded like a home match. You guys came out in droves, supported Grand Rapids OLE in their 3-0 victory as they toppled a team that has the likes of Robert Dameron, international goalkeeper, who is actually just now coming back from a training camp with the national team. Drew Ducker, who's a regular in the league, also the coach of the team and commissioner of the league. So a guy that is very invested in this league, eats, sleeps, breathes it, to a point that he is always involved at every level. So we'll see how they fare now in our house, as our fans will be at full strength for that match. Imagine how they felt hearing you guys in their own building, turning it into your own fortress. You guys are absolutely amazing again. So cool. And then we take a look at last week against Cadence. We knew tensions were going to be high because when they faced Detroit Imperial, there was an actual fist fight that broke out during that game, and it didn't fail to deliver on that for us. You take a look at that center circle, and it's really a squared circle. They must have been thinking wrestling, because they were even getting a little chippy right off the rip, as there was some chest bumping and motioning and plenty of fouls in both directions, as this game was very, very intense. And from the top level where it was filmed from, I can only explain it as either a trampoline, bouncy house, or earthquake. So as you watch these highlights, please understand again that not everyone has a Juan on their team that can improve the quality of how their clubs look. But you're going to see some fun stuff from this and some great goals of the 13 that were scored against Cadence in that absolutely intense, wild match. I give our guys a ton of credit. They didn't travel with the full team. There was only 7 of them there. And even one player that showed up late, I won't say who it was, but I will say they were highlighted in yellow. So I'll just leave it at that and have our little bit of fun with him on that case. But the important thing is the win, and a 13-11 win against home team Cadence. And they will be in action later tonight, looking to bounce back from that and build on those 11 goals they scored against league leaders in the Midwest Division. Without further ado, let's dive right into the goal montage of the last 3 games and get hyped up for tonight's match. Maripeo's past. We've done interviews and quotes from the players, and we've even had one facilitate some of those things so you don't have to listen to me drone on the entire episode. I am very excited to introduce our first player to watch, hosted by our very own Luke Miller, the man behind the streams. They make him look oh so clean. Let's hear who he's got his eye out for in this week's Player to Watch.
Hey, what's up everybody? Luke Miller here with your player to watch for this weekend. Make sure to keep your eyes on the court for a player who's been silently dominating, Gabe Villagomez. In their most recent matchup versus Cadence, Gabe had an impressive performance. He netted 7 goals and tallied an assist. Gabe is number 10 on the team, and his impact is subtle, yet profound. Next up for our boys is Futsal Factory out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. Gabe's tally for the season, 9 goals, 5 assists. It's not flashy, it's effective. That's the Gabe Villagomez way. As we approach this matchup versus Futsal Factory, Gabe's consistency on the court is what sets him apart. No grand gestures, just consistent brilliance. So as you're watching the game this weekend, appreciate the play of Gabe Villagomez, a quiet force making every moment count.
So there you go, Ole fans. Everything you need to know heading into tonight's match. Do what you do best. Show up to the game, pack the house, and own Michigan. That's right. Tonight we put our stamp and our dominance on the league against longtime rivals from Ann Arbor, Michigan Futsal Factory, and from your fan from Ohio who loves to see an Ann Arbor team lose. Vamos, Ole!